unconventional.
Good morning.
Yeah.
So in 10 minutes we have to anticipate 1,200 people plus the other 1,200 people wanting to ask a burning question. We will do this. So in our presentations this morning, we see so much insight, knowledge, connection, advice, amazing projects that fill me with hope that the future of dematerialising construction and innovating and addressing social, environmental and economic is all possible. But my burning question to both of you is, can we move fast enough to see the projects that you've presented at the scale the planet needs to see?
Well, I would say that if we teach people to do what they can do best, we can do this everywhere, and it can go quick.
Architecture is the easy bit. In the end, it's political will, it's leadership. That I think is the question, and I'm not sure that we're the best people to address that too. I mean, we can be the means to the end. The professions working together can address the big issues, but that needs political leadership. It needs a will. It needs optimism.
So 101 of politics is that it's us. We elect the officials. So the power of demanding this is that we now know it's possible. We're teaching so it's delivered. But we have to demand that these projects and others that we see as sustainable are delivered in a political context, yes?
In the end, it's about education, isn't it? And it's about younger generations, because those emerging generations will be making the decisions for the future, as well as those who can make decisions, implement decisions, who are in power at the moment. So it is really about anticipating the future and those issues. And I guess that as a profession, we are as good as our advocacy.
When sitting there and listening to the presentations, I was debating with myself, do I ask this, do I comment this or not? And I decided to do that. I will do this with a lot of respect, but also trying to be as clear and honest as possible. And I wonder, is there room to change the direction and change the path of what was presented by the Deputy Minister in terms of the built environment ahead? The reason is that what we saw in this presentation, it's not nostalgically looking at architectural languages of the past, but learning from very concrete lessons in how to domesticate the environment to create right places to live. It's not the facade, it's the footprint, it's the proximity and the shaping of the streets, it's the choice of materials. I wonder if it is clear that the glass tower is going to be the tallest greenhouse effect generator in Africa. So the question is, or maybe more than a question, is to comment and to reflect. What showed here are not just the result of having the talent, the knowledge, and come up with ideas. You use the word convincing the client. How can we make all this become the mainstream and not the exception? how can we get the crowd aligned along these lines? It's not just how fast how can we make it the rule?
Again, history. You have to question why one part of the world will be building huge roadworks when elsewhere in the world the lessons have been learned. In Boston, the Big Dig, the road of the 60s has been ripped up, tunnel, Green Park, higher values, greater mental health, less crime. In Seoul, we've seen motorways removed, made into parks. The city doesn't freeze, it's liberated. The same in Madrid. We see a road network which was built in the 60s. We see China, when I first went there, you looked on a road, it was a sea of bicycles. Then it's a sea of cars. And now I go there, and everybody's scratching their head how to get the bicycle back. So lessons should be learned. And the lesson that sprawl, motorways, building motorways for something that's already extinct, like a dinosaur. It's the same mantra. We have to learn the lessons. We have to apply them. We have to look far ahead. We have to have the courage of leaders who will and lead us to be.
And maybe I was also relatively shocked about what I saw this morning, and I guess we would have made. I would have made a different lecture had I known that this was the introduction presentation. And really, I don't mean this in any mean or respectless way. There is a lack of education and knowledge. And so I think it's good that this meeting happens here now.
So could we have the last slide that I have the benefit of seeing here? Can we have that projected? It's just a graphical representation. There are many, technology talking to me, the last slide. And yes, so it doesn't matter which country interprets a set of criteria such as this. Each country looks at a set of criteria, but essentially it's the tension between economic environment, social activities and outcomes. And what we should be seeing is that projects have got the education, the possibility, the application to achieve these. But each site is unique and each community is unique. So we have to globally be unified around a model that applies the knowledge that both of you presented this morning. And I'm not saying this is the one, but it is an example of what needs to occur on every project. And I think if the true tension of this was applied, we would have less of the roads, more of the pedestrianised local economy, infrastructure services. We would have a design that incorporates the local material, the local environment's needs. Tell us more of, is this an example of how to address Alejandro's challenge, which is we've seen mega projects, 24 new cities, the infrastructure, a little of the old being applied in the new.
I mean, this particular thing we're looking at, the diagram, is the SGNI, the Deutsche Gesellschaft für nachhaltiges Bauen. It's in my limited knowledge, the one set of criteria that approaches the first diagram I showed the best, because it really includes social and it's not just the environment, it includes social, it includes economical aspects that need to be vetted, and it's super flexible. It can be used for any place, and for, because this is not, as much as it comes across as science, it is also not, because somebody needs to say this is 80% of what can be achieved, or it's only 60%. But the fact that it exists, that everybody who would be part of such a, whatever, city development or building, knows this is the criteria we are measured against, would already be a big step, I guess. We from our context, we think this is kind of standard practice, but we realize it's not, and
So Norman Foster, is it possible for politicians and leaders to apply a model of this tension?
If you go on holiday and you want a good experience, what kind of places do you go to? They're compact, they're pedestrian friendly. Everything's mixed up. There isn't a zone for culture, a zone for living, and a zone for working, and endless roads pulsating with traffic. What happens? You create the multi-lane highway, which brought us here, and every few meters you have something that interrupts it, so the car has to stop to get over the bump. So what are the desirable places? Those desirable places are the most sustainable. They have the smallest carbon footprint. The lessons are there. It's just a matter of applying them and translating them in today's terms. We have to learn from what we have, what works, and what is questionable.
I think we've learned from the masters, and with that, I would thank you all. Thank you.